This is Business Week Armenia, ＳիվիլNeթ's weekly economic digest. Here's what's making headlines in Armenia this week. The United States has imposed a 10% tariff on all imports from Armenia as President Donald Trump escalates his global trade war. Speaking at the White House this week, Trump unveiled a sweeping new tariff policy, including a 10% baseline tariff on all imported foreign goods, plus additional duties of up to 49% on some 60 countries, including major economies like China and the European Union. The tariffs have sent markets around the world tumbling and stoked fears of a global recession. In Armenia, the impacts are expected to be more manageable, observers say, since only a small portion of the country's foreign trade is with the United States. Last year, trade between the two countries amounted to just over $410 million, according to official figures, representing less than 1.5% of Armenia's total trade. What's more, most of Yerevan's trade with Washington comprises imports of U.S. goods into Armenia, which will not be impacted by the tariffs. Last year, Armenia imported about $350 million of U.S. goods, while it exported just under $60 million of products to U.S. markets, according to a Foreign Ministry fact sheet. Still, the tariffs are expected to hit Armenia's main exports to the United States, which include spirits and liquor, carpets and rugs, diamonds, and aluminum. As of now, Armenian officials have yet to comment publicly on the matter. The United States also imposed 10% tariffs on each of Armenia's neighbors, Azerbaijan, Georgia, Iran, and Turkey. Armenia's national debt has now surpassed $13 billion, pushing the country's debt-to-gross domestic product ratio to over 53%. That's according to the latest figures made public this week by Armenia's finance ministry. Last month, the ministry confirmed it had issued a new $750 million Eurobond in a bid to manage Armenia's growing debt. The dollar-denominated bond was listed on the London Stock Exchange at the beginning of the month and matures in 10 years with a 7.1% yield. The bond attracted unexpectedly high investor demand, with total orders topping $2.6 billion. This year, Armenia is expected to pay about $2.9 billion to service its debt, which is split nearly evenly between money owed to foreign lenders and domestic creditors. Officials attribute Armenia's rising debt in part to the government's decision to take on Nagorno-Karabakh's outstanding loans and liabilities after the local administration collapsed in 2023. In response, Armenia approved the measure assuming 70% of the more than $800 million in debts accrued by Nagorno-Karabakh's former banks and creditors. Increased government spending on defense and on efforts to integrate the more than 100,000 Armenians displaced from Nagorno-Karabakh has also contributed. Armenia's debt repayment schedule runs until 2054. The Armenian government collected about $1.4 billion in taxes this past quarter, representing an increase of more than 13% compared to the first 3 months of last year. That's according to figures out this week from Armenia's State Revenue Commission, which suggest tax collection, a key priority of Prime Minister Nikol Pashinyan's administration, continues to improve. Last year, Armenia collected roughly $6 billion in taxes, marking a year-on-year increase of just more than 7.5%. Observers say that likely reflects both high levels of economic growth and improved tax collection procedures. At the same time, the State Revenue Committee revealed this week that law enforcement has launched a criminal probe into an unnamed construction company that allegedly undertook a tax evasion scheme to avoid paying nearly $21 million in taxes over the past decade. The case, observers say, shows how far Armenia still has to come to improve its tax collection system. The Radisson Hotel Group has opened its first hotel and spa in Gyumri, Armenia's second biggest city, as the Brussels-based hospitality giant continues to expand its presence in the country. In a press release this week, the company said the opening of their 64-room hotel in a renovated 19th century building in downtown Gyumri reflects our commitment to growing our presence across the Caucasus and Central Asia. Radisson put the cost of the Gyumri property at $8 million. Radisson first entered the Armenian market in 2016 with a 142-room hotel in Yerevan, near the city's landmark Victory Park. And as always, keep following SivilNet for the latest news and independent reporting from our contributors on the ground here in Armenia.